All right, so the fantasy season is over, and I'm assuming for all of us, it ended in some dramatic tragedy where you were in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, whatever. It doesn't matter because the dynasty season never ends. So I want to go back over the season and see who increased their value by a lot and who decreased their value by a lot. So we're going to go over like 8 wide receivers, 4 that absolutely skyrocketed up the rankings and just boosted their ADP for this year, and 4 guys that really fell down pretty hard. I want to go over a couple things that are going to go into this list before we get started. For one, I'm trying not to do rookies because they're rookies, man. Like, give them a year, you know, give them some time. They're fine. And I'm trying not to do injuries because I'm not a doctor. Let's start off with our first guy that I am qualified to tell you about, Michael Wilson. This has got to be like the biggest situation here. He's like definitely the face of the risers in this scenario because he wasn't getting drafted. Dude, he was a decent stash. He was drafted like 2 years ago in the 3rd round, and maybe you stashed him, you held on to him. I'm assuming he was going like 3rd round in dynasty drafts. You see similar guys like him going in those like later rounds in the dynasty draft, like Torrey Horton and such. So, I mean, we weren't really picking him, and no one thought this was gonna happen. That offense already has so many weapons. Basically, he was not rosterable if you had like a pretty tight dynasty league. I have at least one league that's like pretty tight. You drop him, you know? But the people that held on to him, oh my God, that breakout finally came. You had to wait for Marv to be out. But now, even when Marv's back, I think he's still gonna get drafted within the top 30 dynasty wide receivers. That is absolutely huge. He probably wasn't even top 100 going into the season, and he still got a year older. So first off, Michael Wilson, wow. Biggest up we're going to talk about this entire time. So that leads us into our first down guy who's also wearing a red uniform, and that's Xavier Worthy. This is a 1st round wide receiver. In his rookie draft, if you're talking like not super flex, he was probably going like top half of the draft, top 6, maybe even top 5. If you really like that Chiefs, he could be the next Tyreek Hill connection. And last year, I mean, he was a rookie, so how mad are you going to be? They have so many options on that team. Travis Kelce was still doing it. Rashee Rice looked good, but still in his rookie year, Rashee Rice out. He's not doing that much, but this year, it's kind of disgusting. Like, it really wasn't pretty. And I would still say he was getting drafted like top 20-ish wide receivers in Dynasty coming into this year, and now that's going even further down because with Rashee Rice out, which was like the first 6 weeks into the last like 4 weeks still, he was doing nothing. Like, come on, man. Like, he still is not performing. You still can't really slot him into that lineup. I would say going into this year, if I had him as my dynasty wide receiver 3, I'm happy. Now, this year, I'm like, you can't start him until he proves himself. He's back at the bottom where you actually have to prove yourself. So I would say he's one of the biggest fallers, okay? But let's go back into someone that actually did really well, increase their value. This is Chris Olave. Chris Olave coming into the season was like a wide receiver 2. I'd be happy with him as my wide receiver 2 because you knew he was going to get the targets. You knew that that offense was going to revolve around him, which just made him a good floor guy. Like, he's going to go out there and get me 15. And I know what you're thinking, well, how can a guy that's going to go out there and get me 15 consistently go up? Dude, because this offense is legit. Now, we didn't believe in Rattler, we didn't believe in Shuck, and now they're both decent, with Shuck actually being pretty good. Could be Rookie of the Year even. But the point of why Chris Olave is up now is because he went from like a mid-tier wide receiver 2 to like a low-end wide receiver 1, honestly. Especially in Dynasty, like, I'd be happy. He's like, what, 23, 24? He's still like really young. And the offense scores touchdowns now. Like, you can really bank on every once in a while getting a 30-point Chris Olave game while still having a really, really safe floor. And I think he's probably one of the better examples of a guy that was pretty good becoming like really good, like top 15, top 12 dynasty wide receivers right now. Okay, let's move on to Jerry Jeudy, and it really might have just been my league, but Jerry Jeudy kind of had value. I saw he was at least getting drafted within like the top 40 dynasty wide receivers, and you're thinking, well, he's a wide receiver on the Browns. Steve Smith knew he was trash.
Don't trade for Jerry Jeudy.
How is he? Dude, he had projections, man. He was supposed to get targets. He was on a bad offense, but he was supposed to kind of be a mini Chris Olave on a bad offense. He wasn't. this guy was disgusting. This guy was terrible, and he's like almost droppable. Maybe if you have like 20 plus roster spots, I'm hanging on to him. But if I'm under 12 roster spots or whatever, 13, I'm not hanging on to him. He was bad this season, and now the Browns have to be looking at more wide receivers. So Jerry Jeudy, bad. Definitely went way down, not a top 100 dynasty wide receiver. Let's go on to a little bit more of a niche one, but if you know ball, like you know A.D. Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell, drafted to the Colts, second round, pretty high in the second round. He was going, at least not in Superflex, like first round in rookie drafts when he got drafted, and he's been just nothing throughout his whole career. I mean, it's only his second season, so we're trying to be more lenient with this, but it was just the fact of when he was on the Colts, he stopped playing. They stopped playing him. I mean, they have talented players to play wide receiver, Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. Like, they had decent guys, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren is even like stealing targets from him. So, I mean, it made sense. He was a washed asset. You didn't want him at all. But ever since his trade to the Jets, he went from a droppable, I don't even want this guy as a stash, to a decent like wide receiver 4/flex option. If I'm going through a bye week and I have to start A.D. Mitchell, I'm not going to be that pissed. It is a massive jump for a guy that was completely droppable 2 months ago. And now let's get into our second to last down player, just someone that really lost it. It's Cedric Tillman. Hear me out, okay? I know you're thinking, bro, he was supposed to be wide receiver 2 on the Browns. We're back to talking about the Browns. This is ridiculous. Okay, whatever. I was a big Cedric Tillman guy. I saw the Linsanity run, and I was like, he's gonna do this every day. I thought he could have been the wide receiver 1 there, and I wanted to stash him because I was like, hey, when Shedeur comes, we all thought Shedeur was going to be really good, right, guys? Right, guys? Right, guys? I was like, when Shedeur comes, you know, maybe this guy's actually going to put up numbers. He didn't. Not only did he not put up numbers because he was already not putting up numbers, he's losing snap percentage. You can say, well, he was coming back from injury, he was hurt. He played when he came back from injury. They worked him in. He was going up to like 80, 90% of snaps. By the end of the season, he was barely cracking 40. This guy, I can't even stash him anymore, and that's enough of a down for me to put him in this video. And finally, for what you could consider our second biggest riser, this is another like pretty good guy becoming like really good. Another one of the biggest jumps. I would probably say the second biggest wide receiver jump. It's George Pickens. It's George Pickens. Oh my God. I mean, you could say that he's more of a situational guy because he came into a situation with Dak and CD where they already have a really good pass offense, so you expected him to kind of do stuff, but he was still coming into the season considered like a, you know, wide receiver 2. He was a wide receiver 2 on his own team to start the season, so you would think, okay, like, you know, it's a capped ceiling for sure, but he balled. He balled, and I don't know if he's going back to the Cowboys, but what I do know is that if I'm going into next season and I have George Pickens as my wide receiver 1 in Dynasty, I'm pretty happy. He's still pretty young, and he's about to be the number 1 somewhere, which could be concerning. He was honestly better when CD played, which is so weird, but just his meteoric rise from a mid-tier wide receiver 2 to a almost like high tier, like he could be a top 5 Dynasty wide receiver. Before this season, he was maybe top 20. So I just think that is a massive jump. That is definitely deserving of a spot. But finally, for our last player, you knew who it was. He made the thumbnail. He's on the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh my God. What a nightmare. I mean, he was coming into the season drafted like, you could call him a top 10 young wide receiver. Like, I would have drafted him as the 10th best Dynasty wide receiver, and I would have felt pretty good about it. I would have felt like I was getting a steal, but dude, oh my God, he was bad. He was really bad. You can blame Kyler, but you kind of can't. Because even when Jacoby Brissett played, I know Marv missed some of those games, but even when Jacoby Brissett played, who was slinging that thing, Marv still didn't do much of anything, dude. And now, I don't even know if I would draft Marv as a top 30 wide receiver in Dynasty. And honestly, he's kind of like the 3rd option on his own team now. And obviously, Marv's young. Marv has time. It's not over for Marv, but he is definitely, in my opinion, the biggest faller in all Dynasty value for wide receivers. All right, so those were my biggest risers and my biggest fallers in dynasty value for wide receivers after the 2025 season. Thank you so much for watching. Keep on the lookout. I'm going to try and do this with running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends. Maybe I'll mix them together because how many tight ends really are there? But whatever. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.